Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bezier Pen lesson. This lesson has to do a lot with vectors. We're going to talk about the Bezier Pen. Everything that is in this video is located down below. It's a lot of text to read, I know. Please don't be lazy. Go ahead and make sure you read, because this stuff is really, really important if you want to be successful with vectors and Bezier curves. Now, the first thing you guys are going to notice is that I have gone through and gone into the website, the fan site materials, and I pulled out a there symbol. And what I did was just take my magic wand and cut everything away from it. So I was just left with this, just to show you on the underlay. That's all it is, okay? So that's all we have. First things first is that when we start out and we want to make a vector shape, now these things are really important to remember when you are going and making, say, jewelry on a piece of clothing, or you're looking for that little bitty detail that's going to make or break your piece. So what we're going to do is turn something into a vector shape, and then we are actually going to go through and learn how to apply Bezier curves to designing. Now, as we've covered in our semester, we went through the Versace line for fall 2007, and we found this wonderful neckline that we really, really loved. And so today we're going to go through and we are going to figure out that particular neckline. Okay, so let's get started with the there symbol. First things first, I'm going to teach you guys how to make a custom shape. So first things first, let's go through, take our magic wand to make sure that our layer is selected, and then go ahead and click and select the areas we want to turn into a shape. Now all we have to do is come down into our paths palette, down into the very bottom, and you're going to notice there's a little, what looks like a circle with little handles on it, and it says make work path from selection. So we can turn a path, we can turn a selection into a path just by clicking on it. Now if you guys are seeing this, and I'm going to blow it up really huge so you guys can see it on the video, because I want you guys to be able to see this really clearly. Okay, when we have gone through, and we're going to go even one more time, we're going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that's one click a little too big. Okay, so here we are. We've got our shape, and after we clicked on make shape from selection, make a work path from a selection, what you're going to notice is it didn't come out good at all. I mean, look at this. We've got all kinds of mess happening. I mean, there's a corner here. Last time I checked, there's really no corners on their logo. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'm not sure I want to keep this. And so we're going to get into our black and white arrows. If you are consulting your syllabus as we're going along, this is the mystical and magical properties of the black and white arrows. Now, with these guys, what we can do is that, notice that it even picked up the little trademark area outside. What we can do is actually hold down our shift key and then click with our black arrow on all the paths we don't want and hit delete. That'll get rid of them. Pretty easy. But we notice that our symbol still is not worth a darn. So what we're going to do is come back in, and now when we work with the black arrow, it's called our path selection tool. What we can do is click onto a path and it'll select all the points in that path for us. But however, our paths aren't quite right on this one, so we're going to have to adjust them one by one. This is where the white arrow comes in. It's called the direct selection tool. And what we do is we just click and drag a little box like we would with our marquee tool, and it's going to select that one particular point. Okay? Now, whenever we work with, there we go, there's a really good example. Right here, you're going to notice that there is a piece sticking out, and it's sticking out a fair ways. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that because I want you guys to see it. Okay, right here is this long piece. Now, this is what's known as a handle. Okay, now Bezier curves, when you work with them, what we talk about when we talk about a vector shape Bezier path, what it is, a vector is a mathematical a representation of a form. Okay, instead of us, if we're just using a brush tool, what we go through and we define a set number of pixels. With curves and the paths, we don't dictate how many pixels that are getting filled in. We actually rely on Photoshop or whatever graphic editor you're using to determine that for us. It's a mathematical number. So we don't, we tell it, oh, put 2 pixels here. It doesn't work that way. What it happens is that when you work with these curves, it tells it how much to fill in based on if we adjust the curve, if we make it smaller, larger, all of that is going to adjust, which means in the end that when you're using vectors, no matter how hard you zoom in or no matter how far you zoom out, it's always going to stay the same. It's not going to lose any, it's not going to degrade, it's not going to lose any true resolution. It's going to stay nice, crisp, and clean. Now, when we work with this, we're going to find these little handles. Now what the handles do, as you notice as I'm working with this piece right up here is going to move, okay, because I've got one of the sections selected. And actually look what happens over here. Okay, let me move this over so you can see a little bit better. What happens is that the curve moves, okay? When we look at this on a little less of a grand scale, let's move this in a little bit. Okay, what we're going to have is that as that moves, it's going to change the shaping on the inside. Now, this side looks pretty good already. Now, notice our curve from our point here to our point here looks pretty good. So we're going to leave that as is. And what we're going to do is come over here to our pen tool. Now, normally it would have the little pens sticking up on it, but we're going to go down to the Convert Point tool. And what that's going to do is going to give you a little caret when you get right next to the handle. And what you're going to do is be able to just move that particular section of that particular path. So when we work with that, it actually breaks those sections into pieces. It breaks our point in half, so one half stays where we like it, and we said that we like this curve a whole lot, but we're changing this portion right here. Now we can do it from either end of our curve. Now I'm going to adjust this one just a little bit, but then I'm going to come up to this one right up here, and I'm going to adjust a little bit more with that one. Oops, there we go. But what you can do is just bend it and shape it. Now, vectors work like pieces of tinsel wire, okay? It's going to bend and move to where you tell it to go, okay? That's just brass tacks about the thing. Now, oops, look what happened. Now, if I click on my corner, if I click on a corner with my Convert Anchor tool, Anchor Point tool, what it's going to do is it's going to make a corner. So let's go ahead and back up, oops, 2, there we go. And that way we'll be able to move this around just a little bit, get it just right. Now we're going to move to this point right over here. Now these 2 points were at the top of the symbol, and notice I'm zoomed all the way in at 1600%, so that I'm sure that tells you a little bit about what we're working with. Now I've got these 2 points right here, and notice there's a little bitty handle right there, because remember there are no corners on the there symbol. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust a little bit. I'm going to grab this point right here, and I'm just going to tap with my arrow. Okay, just tap with your arrow, and that's going to adjust everything, but we're not going to worry about that. We can always come back and select it and click on there. Click on the point, and what it's going to do is it's going to wake that portion of the curve back up, and so that way we can come back and adjust to wherever we think it's comfortable. Okay, and as we zoom out, we notice that our shape is becoming better and better, that we've already smoothed out this one area. We've already smoothed this out. Now, we have this funky little corner that our Make Path from Selection tool made, and so we're going to come in and select that point. Now notice that it is a corner. It is a full-blown corner. We are going to do our best to make sure that that doesn't look like a corner anymore. Now what we can do with this point is delete it. But what happens? Look, we miss out on pieces of our curve. Okay, we've taken out a segment of it. So what we're going to do is come back, and we're actually going to grab this point by itself, and we can pick it up and move it to wherever we see fit, so that way our curve is continuous. Okay, so make a couple more adjustments, and as you see, as you work with this, it's going to the shape will it'll start to move for you, but just think of it as working with pieces of tinsel wire. Okay, the best one I can think of, coat hanger. If you've ever tried to get into your car, if you've locked yourself out and you've worked with those, if you've worked with a piece of coat hanger to try to get in your car, it's basically the same thing. And it's just as malleable. Okay? And I'm just going point by point, and I'm just adjusting. Now notice right up here, we've got the same corner problem that we had over here with our corners, and that there's actually 3 points right in this area. Whoops. There we go. There are actually 2 points right in this area, and one makes a corner. And we really don't want that corner, so we have to make sure that we adjust for it. Okay, and notice that, well, this one's a little wonky, isn't it? What we can do is actually go up and move our point. Just don't be afraid. If you mess up, remember there's always your history panel. Your history panel is your friend. There we go. That's a little bit better. We don't want it to be so cornery. We really don't. Oh, hello. Sorry, I got to grab the end of that handle, move it around, so that way we have a little bit better of a corner. Yeah, so that way we want to move it down maybe. And you know, when we push a handle in, what it's going to do is it's going to make our arc narrow, our curve more and more narrow. So we have to stay a little wide. And in this case, I'm just going over the fringe pixels on the outside, just to make it a little bit easier on us. And of course, I'm going to try to get this as curvy as possible, which means I'm going to have to do some magic and move everything around. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Curves takes patience. Curves takes a lot of time. I spent over 3 weeks on this in school. I'm trying to give it to you in a day, which means you're gonna have to practice. Okay, moving along. We've done pretty good. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit, because working with paths is not easy. But once you master it, it works really, really well for you. Now notice this one, oops, what happened? Why are both moving at the same time? It's because I didn't come and select that particular point, okay? You have to select the point and get both handles, okay? Now if you want them to break, now guys, if you're making curves, what you have to remember is a lot of times is that you don't want to break your handles because those make corners. So anyway, just keep adjusting, keep moving things. And then when you're done, I see something I don't particularly like. Let's try to move those in a little bit, make ourselves a little bit more fluid curve. Okay, so after we look at it, oh, we missed the circle in the middle and my one curve here. And you can always grab it by clicking on just the path itself and then pulling on it. That always works too. But our circle really is stinky. It's terrible. So what we're going to do is actually come with our black arrow and just click on that portion of the path like we did earlier and just hit delete. Because this time we're going to come in with our ellipse tool, and what we're going to do is keep it as a path. We don't want a shape layer. We just want a path. We don't want to fill pixels. You take a path. And what you're going to do is Alt key held down. Oh, sorry. Start at the center. Okay. What you're going to do is click. Then by holding your Alt key down and your Shift key simultaneously, you can draw your circle out from the center. If you don't get it quite right, then hold down your space bar, move it around a little bit, and there we've got the circle in the middle. And so sometimes if you're looking for something that has a very you know, if it's an exact shape like a circle or a square or something like that, you can actually go through, take your shape tools, your rectangle tool, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, line. You can take all those tools and you can bend them to your will. Come in and say, hey, I need this shape. Where we have something as random as the red swash that goes around the circle for the there symbol. You know, we can't just use one of our shapes to make that. We have to go through and really trace it and start from scratch, creating a new curve and a new set of paths. So anyway, so there we have it. We have successfully gone around and done our there symbol. But you know what? Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's go ahead and select our black arrow. And what you're going to do, just drag a box over the whole thing. Now we're going to learn how to save it. We go to Edit, and then we go to Define Custom Shape. Click on it, and there's our little symbol that we've made. We can call it the there symbol. Click OK, and guess what? Inside of our little custom shape tool, come in, look at the bottom, there it is, right there. Sorry, let's make our thumbnails a little bit bigger. There we go. So y'all can see that, look at all these shapes that already come with Photoshop. You can click and drag these as much as you want, and guess what? It's always going to, remember to constrain proportions. We hold down the Shift key. You can make any of these shapes you want, but now you have the there symbol that's ready to go. So if we wanted to come back, what we could do is zoom out. Okay, so there's our shape. And what we can do is turn off our paths by, let's see. There we go. Okay. What we can do is click on another layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these paths that we made and we're just going to hit delete. Don't worry, no harm, no foul. You haven't lost anything. You've already saved it. Let's go ahead and hide the there symbol. What we'll do, we'll come into our custom shape tool, go to our shape, then just click and drag. There we go. Hold down your Shift key to constrain proportions. Let it go. And guess what? You've got the shape minus the color. All you have to do is go back. If we wanted to, we just select the circle inside by going to our direct selection tool. And we can take this one particular circle. There we go. And then we can go and come on to another layer. Actually, what we can do is shift click, and we can take our magic wand and tell it, no, we don't want that. Ugh. Can you please give me a break? Well, if we wanted to just do the inside of the circle, we could just paint it. Yep, there we go. Alright, and you could just paint it with any color you want, like we had the blue just come through. Oops, hello. Got to get on the right layer first. There we go. Come back like that. Then we can come back with our eraser or a mask tool or anything like that. Me personally, I like to use a mask. So, what we'll do. But, make a long story short, I'm not going to go through the layer masking with you or anything like that. But, suffice to say, we can make a custom shape. Or if we want to, we can go back a step. Okay? We can actually, let's go ahead and get rid of those. Get rid of that one too. Okay, what we can do is actually break it into pieces. So we've made our shape. Come in with your custom shape tool, make it whatever size you want. Then what you're going to do, grab your custom shape tool. Alright. Click on those paths. Make sure that the little point area is grayed in. Hit delete. Guess what? You can go ahead, edit, define custom shape. We can call it the outer shell. Okay. Then we can always trash that. Come back to our custom shape tool. Select our paths again that we don't want to have. in the outer shell. Let's go ahead and do our direct selection tool, and go ahead and just, with your shift key held down, you just pick up the rest of those points. Pick them all up. If you lose one, you're definitely going to know it. Okay, go ahead and hit delete. Okay, so, and then edit, define custom shape, and then this circle within. So now, if we want to build it all as in 2 pieces, it's really easy. Go to your custom shape tool. Go with your outer shell first. Pick up your red. There we go. And you just constrain the proportions. Alright, let it go. There's our red. Come back. Go back into your custom shape tool. Pick up a circle in the center. Switch over to your blue. Click and drag. There you go. It's not going to come out exactly the same way, but it's going to be pretty darn close. Pretty cool, huh? That's how you work with custom shapes. If you are working with a custom shape, let's go ahead and get rid of all this foo-foo and rah-rah, because we've already done that. Just have a regular background. If I go into any of my custom shapes, say, the one I like to use the most is probably the flame, because it's complex enough to be interesting, yet at the same time it lends you to being very creative. So where are you? You gotta look for it. You've got little feet if you want to do feet. You've got hands if you want to do hands. All kinds of good stuff in here. Let's see. There's the animals. And here's nature. Okay, there it is. There's our flame. Okay, if I wanted to come in and just work with a flame. There you go. Okay. There's our flame. And if we look at it, we can see that, you know what, I'm going to change its color just for fun, just for the moment, because I want you guys to be able to see the points on it. Okay, if we come through with our path selection tool, click on it, you're going to notice there's all kinds of paths all over this thing, right? All you got to do, come in with your direct selection tool and select the ones you want to move around. Okay. Now if we want to, we just use our arrows to pick them up, move them around, do whatever we want to with them. Okay. And we can't forget some of our little guys. Hold down your shift key and click on them. There you go. And so we can move these around so they'll look really cool. And we've just modified it a whole bunch. Now notice I'm having issues right over here on the right side. Just click on your handle and pull. There you go. And you've got it so it's nice and wonderful. You can move it around all you want. So we've made something unique. It's different. You know, this is something new that you could use who knows where. You know, just depends on what you've got in mind. If you want a groovy shape or something like that, you can always take and modify any of the shapes that come standard with Photoshop, or you can use them just as is, and they will do you a lot of service. If you want to go, you know, let's see, you know, it's like, way to go, bonehead. You can do that too. All right. Sorry, I've seen so many reasons to have a light bulb that says, way to go! But, much less to say, all of these things are right at our fingertips. We can use them and integrate them into our designs. But, let's go through. And I'm going to show you the value of paths in designing. Some of you might recognize this. This entire piece, outside of her little mechanisms there, were done by me. All of this is Bezier curves. Now, to start off with, these areas right here that are up at her neck, and this is the first time anyone outside of Banshee Kate has actually seen what's gone into the queen, but I actually started with vector shapes and actually created pieces that are right here in her neck. Dodge and burn went into creating the pulls into her skin. But much less to say, to get the type of quality that I wanted in World, you have to use the curves, because that's where you get the oomph from. So looking at this, you notice I have a lot of curves going on, a lot of things that are singular lines that I could not have done this with a pencil tool. There's no way. It's not that accurate. Accuracy is based on how well you know your tool. So if we come over here, and I have pulled out a wireframe for us. Hello, Miss Wireframe. How are you? Okay, so here's our wireframe. And as some of you and I have discussed, let's go through and do the Versace neckline, shall we? Okay, let's zoom in. First thing we're going to do, here we are on the front of the top. Now, just for giggles, grins, and such, let's go on to a new layer. And what you're going to do, go here and pick up your pen tool. Now, your pen tool is your friend right now. What you are going to do to create the neckline that we looked at, and the neckline, what it was a mock neck, and it flared down a little bit. Then it did not come out as sleeves. It actually left the sleeves bare, but it cut in at the chest and then cut back out again to surround the bust. So what we're going to do, start on our let's zoom in on the area we're going to work in. Okay, right here. Here's the line for the bust, right here. Okay, let's go ahead and start this bad boy out. Take your pen tool, click on the spot you want to start your curve at, okay, or start your path at. Now we're going to go down a little bit. We're actually going to hold down our shift key and create a straight line, and then click again, okay, because we want to make sure that the mock neck is in place. Okay. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to come and ooh, you know what? I need to pull up our picture. Our picture is very important at this point, don't you think? I think so. Let's go to Versace.com. Oh, yay. Alright. Some of the girls really, really love this. So let's go over here. Let's find her. There she is. There's our friend. And I'm sorry if you can't see her very well. I cannot blow up the page for you, but this is on the Versace site. Notice that it is wide, makes a mock neck, then it comes through as a curve, and then fills in at the bust. So what we're going to do is that we've already decided that right here and right here are the beginnings of that mock neck, right? Now we have to go and look at her again. Okay, now we're going to dip in at the neck. So that means we're going to need to have, well, let's go ahead and make some guides. And guides are always a good thing. And then we're going to show rulers. There we go. There's my rulers. Okay. Here is where my neckline starts. Here's the other side. Now, where I want it to start bending in, because I want her to have a nice, like, a little bit of a yoked area. And then let's go underneath the collar right here as one. And let's come in with another one. And give her just a little bit of room before we start our curve. We'll go here. Okay. Then we know that the bust starts here. So we're going to need to make sure that our curve, when we do it, we start here. Then we're going to make our curve come out like so. And it's going to be really cool. You'll love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going. Alright, so let's make sure that we keep her nice and straight. Then we come all the way out here to where the edge of her sleeve is. Uh-oh, look at what happened. But we're not done yet. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up our Convert Point tool, and we're going to go ahead and already start to click it. Alright, there we go. Now we've got the edges. Now, why is that looking like that? Ew. Clear layer style. Thank you. Alright, now guys, right now you're going to notice it's going the wrong way. That's for a reason. Okay, so what we've got, let's bend in just a little bit more. We want to go past that area and just create a nice, beautiful curve. Okay. Now, okay. And then what we do is, what we're going to do is just, we're going to keep going all the way around the area of the shirt that we're going to paint, okay? Whenever you see a little slash next to your pen tool, that means you're just going to continue your line. So go ahead and click on it. Then come out. Oh, hello. Look what happened. Eek. I'm going to have to fix that. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab it. There we go. What we do, just pull that into place right over the anchor point. Okay, come back. And let's keep going. And really all I'm going to do is come all the way around her, just for grins. Now what you can do is you can come through, and if you want to do the entire thing as a Bezier curve, you most certainly can. And you can also use it to cut out sections of it. So if we had already, let's zoom out and look at this real quick. Okay, I went a little too far. Let's do a backspace, come back out, and let me have a guide so I know where it meets right there. Okay, pick up our point where we left it. There we go. And we come back up. All right. So we are about, let's come up halfway. Okay, so now we're having some good luck creating her shirt so far. And what we're going to do is come to the same point that we came to on the other side. And remember guys, you're going to have to adjust some of this stuff. Okay, then what we do is come back up and then come all the way back up to where we started. Okay, now let's come in, zoom in right in our area here, because we're going to create that same thing all over again. Go ahead and select your point. What you're going to do, come over here to your convert point tool, click and drag. Now what you're going to do with this one that stuck out over here, just go ahead and fold it back in, or if you want to create more of a curve on its other side, you most certainly can. But go ahead and pull it to about the same proportion as we had on the other side. Okay? And remember, you have to practice with this. You are going to have to do this on your own. I cannot do it for you. But what you can do is help reshape your line, or if you think that this should come in a little bit more. There you go. You know, however you want it to look. Okay, you can always enrich or bring your curves back out. Okay, but remember, all this is being done above the bust line. So what you can actually do, if you wanted to, you could actually take your points, you take a pen tool, and you could go through and actually, let's add an anchor point with add anchor point tool. Hey. Actually, you know what? Let's ditch this path. I didn't want to copy it. What I'm going to do is go ahead and ditch it. Because what I'm going to do, Control 0, make this real big. I'm just working on the fly, guys. So, of course, hey, I can mess up. I'm human, just like everybody else. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is go ahead, why not, for grins and giggles, let's go ahead and fill in the rest of where her body is going to be at. Let me choose a, well, you know what, I happen to like that yellow, but it's going into fall, so let's pick a red brown. That's nice. Okay, there's a red brown. There's the beginning of it. And we already know that her bust is covered up. We've already covered the minimum submissions guidelines, you know, the minimum coverage requirements. Oh, heaven forbid. Okay, now, and that was not meant as anything but a little cute cynicism. Okay, so going through, picking up my pen tool, go through, and what I'm going to do is actually just come through, create my path, There we go. And when you're working with the pen tool, just click and drag, guys. Click and drag. That's all it is. Okay? And then what you're going to do, click, come over here to the other side. Okay? Come back up to the point where your neckline started. Okay? Click and drag. All right, come back and let's find out where that point exactly is. There it is, right there. And of course we can come back and use our convert anchor and then pull that and snap it into place. There. So now all it is down to adjusting. Okay, so you can go back to each of your individual ones. Now when you're working with the convert point, your convert anchor tool, what you can do is just click and drag. It's going to make two handles. Just snap that one back into place. And what you can do is shape this to your heart's content. You know, make it as dramatic as you want to, not as dramatic. It's up to you, really. There we go. See? Just takes practice. Just takes practice. And then what we have here, go ahead and click it. Okay, if we ever wanted to make this neckline again, all we would have to do is we've got our selection, right? Go to Edit, Define Custom Shape, and you can do neckline. Hit OK. All right. Now what we can do is go ahead and, oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I violated rule number 1. I painted on my background. I did not even think about making a layer. Shame on me. Oh my goodness. But that's okay. That's lucky for me. That's it's all going to come out okay in the end. Thank you. All right, let's go to layer 1. Oh, let's go ahead and fill it. All right. So we can look and see, well, actually what we can do while we're at it, why not? Let's do the back. We did the front, right? Why not? Let's go. We already defined the shape. Let's see if we can't do it on the back. Woo-woo. Won't we be wonderful if we can pull this off? Okay. So, go ahead. Hold down your Shift key. Constrain your proportions. Click and drag. Alright. Make it as big as you want it to, but remember we have to maintain the size. So what we're going to do is actually come in here and we are going to move some points around. That's all you have to do. Just move them around. And you can actually take both that one and just pull them down into your texture. Okay? And if we don't have it quite right, we can move it to the right, to the left. Because remember, this is it's a shape layer, so we can move this around now. Okay, let's go ahead and find out what we made. All right, let's take it and look what we did here. All right, so let's go ahead, do a file, save at, oops, nope, file, save for web. There we go. And then we'll do a save. And remember, we've got transparency on. And what we can do is move it to a PNG 24. Okay. Hit save. And then what we can do, go to our desktop and save it as the V-neck. Okay. Then save it. Come over here into Style Maker. File. Oh, sorry. We're in the new Style Maker 5.2. We can do texture, browse. Let me look at the desktop and find my texture. Okay, and what we'll do is hit apply and let's see what happens. Now, it's pretty symmetrical for all intents and purposes. We know that we have to move the path down at the corners, and we do have to shrink it a little bit in the middle. But look at what we just did. Now, I want you guys to notice something. Now, all of the goofs and stuff aside, okay? All that aside. Let's zoom in. I'm going to turn her around to the back because I want you guys to see this. Oh, we didn't go wide enough either. the lines are relatively crisp and clean. We can go back, fix those, do a lot with it. But in essence, okay, well, let's do a compare and contrast. Let's see how we did versus the one we started out to mimic. Not bad. We could actually go a little higher. Let's go ahead and go back. Go a little bit higher. And actually, we can fix something else. Okay, let's go ahead. Go back to shape 1. We'll minimize that one. Let's go back here. Alright, let me have my path. Thank you. There's my path. Let me give you a background so you can see it. Okay, what we did, let's go back with our pen tool. Okay, and add a piece. Oops. Oh, that took that out. Darn it. Okay, there we go. And we're going to come over here and close up the path completely. Now what we can do is just come back in, use your white arrow. And what we can do, we even need to exaggerate it more. Okay, let's pick it up. Let's exaggerate it some more. Okay. You know, so that way we have a good idea of what we're doing with it. Now you could actually do this in halves to make it symmetrical. You could. Or you can eyeball it, do the best you can. But we really want to make it a little bit more dramatic. Let's see what we did. Let me see what this one did. Okay. But we can make it as dramatic as we want to. Sorry guys, I'm eyeballing this as I go. Okay, now what we noticed is that the neck is a little bit of a scoop. So let's go ahead, convert our point. There we go. Now we don't want that to go that way, so let's snap that back into place. What we can do is bring it down. Coming here, doing the exact same thing. Just moving that one side into place, pulling that other side down. Okay. And I'm still not too incredibly pleased with that. Because I want to get that as symmetrical as possible. And I don't have any extra points. It should be nice and smooth. Okay. Ah, I know what might be causing that. Let's come over to this corner right over here. It's constantly about adjusting, guys. Constantly about adjusting. Okay, what we might have here is a little bit extra. Okay, so we can zoom in. Actually, there we go. So we can look at it and say, oh, okay, well, I can work with it this way, or the curve needs to go this way. Yeah. We can help it along on multiple levels. Yeah. So just do the best you can with it. If you want to create one side, save it as a vector shape, then come back and apply it to the other half. Okay, let's see how we did this time. File. Save for web. Save. There we go. Let's go back and reload it. Oh, I forgot to turn off my background. File. Save for web. Save. Okay. Place that. And reload it. Are we getting closer? Just a little bit off. This would take me actually probably a couple of hours to pull off right, because it's a little bulkier in the center. This side I think I've got just about right, but we even have to move the top down to push it even further down. But we've done this in a way that we can actually, we don't have to worry about, oh, let's cut this part out, let's cut this part out. It's all adjustable. You know, you can always go back and keep adjusting those lines. You just keep adjusting, you know. That's what the name of the game is. You keep adjusting it. And actually, what I'm going to do is pull these points and pull all of them down. There we go. And you notice that our curve adapts so we can work with it. Hey, I think that's pretty close. But you know, set yourself up guides, find out where you're at, where everything is lined up, and then just work with it from there. Yeah. There you go. But let's see. Let's save again. Sorry, I'm a perfectionist, guys. I could do this all night. Okay, let's reload it one more time. There we go. That's getting pretty close. And notice I took out the back one. But she's starting to get pretty warm. Okay. Move that over. Pull up our girl again. And as you can see, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some practice and effort, but you've learned the tools. All you do, come in with your pen tool, start making line segments. Okay? Read the lesson below. I cannot stress enough to you that half of probably what I went over in today's video tutorial is not going to make sense unless you go and read the lesson, or if you skipped class, read. You have no other option if you want to learn this tool. You're going to have to read. A lot of my thanks goes out to Deke McClelland and the Photoshop Bible. Like I tell you guys so often, a book on your editor can pay dividends in tea later on. Do exercises just making random shapes with your Bezier pen, because your pen in the end is going to define for you, oh well, I don't just have to take a shape and just cut a piece out. I can adjust the shape by having a shape layer and creating something that's unique, fresh, original, and you. Anyway, okay, that's it for the Bezier pen lesson. Good luck, and if you need help, I'm an email away. Take care.